Every move you make is tracked. Every word analyzed. Every decision monitored. This isn't paranoia, it's reality. From ancient Roman generals to modern CIA operatives, the world's most powerful figures understood one thing: surveillance isn't your enemy. It's your advantage. The moment you realize you're being watched is the moment you gain control. What if I told you that the eyes on you right now could become your most powerful tool for transformation? Everything changes when you understand this. Why Roman generals used surveillance as a weapon of self-mastery. Julius Caesar never walked into a room unprepared. He knew every senator was watching, calculating, plotting. But instead of paranoia, he weaponized that awareness. He turned surveillance into performance fuel. And that's exactly what separated him from leaders who crumbled under pressure. Ancient Roman military strategy had a principle called observer et mover, observe and move. But the twist was this: great generals assumed they were always being watched by spies, by enemies, by their own troops. So they acted as if every moment was a statement of leadership. This wasn't fakeness. It was intentional character architecture. Think about it. When you know someone's watching, you naturally elevate. You stand straighter, think sharper, move with more purpose. That's not external control, that's dormant excellence being activated by perception. The Romans understood that being watched forces you into your highest potential version. Now jump to World War II. The OSS predecessor to the CIA developed something called behavioral masking. Agents were trained to act as if they were constantly surveilled, even in seemingly safe situations. This created automatic discipline. No slip-ups, no weak moments. The assumption of observation became internal quality control. Modern neuroscience backs this up. Stanford researchers found that when people believe they're being monitored, their prefrontal cortex, the decision-making center, shows 34% higher activity. Your brain literally upgrades its processing when it senses observation. It's evolutionary. Being watched meant being judged by the tribe, and judgment meant survival. Look at top performers today. Navy SEALs train under constant video surveillance, not for punishment, but for improvement. Every mistake is caught. Every win is documented. Jocko Willink, former SEAL commander, says, "Discipline equals freedom." But what creates discipline? The knowledge that someone, even if it's just your future self, is watching. Here's where it gets deeper. You don't even need actual surveillance. Just the belief that you're being watched changes everything. Retail stores put fake security cameras in aisles, and shoplifting drops 40%. The perception alone shifts behavior. Your mind responds to the possibility of observation, not the certainty. But there's something even more powerful you need to understand. How CIA operatives flip the script and watch the watchers. Intelligence agencies don't just gather information. They study who's gathering information on them. It's called counter-surveillance detection, and it's how the CIA stayed ahead during the Cold War. They didn't hide from being watched. They weaponized it. Former CIA officer Jason Hansen reveals a core principle. If someone's watching you, they're revealing what they value. Every surveillance operation leaks intel about the surveiller's priorities, fears, and weaknesses. So elite operatives learn to perform while simultaneously analyzing their observers. This works everywhere. During high-stakes negotiations, FBI hostage rescue teams use reverse profiling. While criminals think they're reading the agents are reading the criminals' observation patterns. Who looks where first? Who checks exits? Who watches hands versus faces? Those micro-decisions expose psychological profiles. Ray Dalio, founder of Bridgewater Associates, world's largest hedge fund, built his company on radical transparency. Everyone's performance is recorded and analyzed. But here's the twist. Everyone also knows they're being watched. This creates what Dalio calls idea meritocracy. When you know you're being observed, you bring your A game consistently. Chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov used a similar tactic against opponents. He didn't just play the board, he watched what his opponents were watching. If they stared at the queen, he knew they were planning queen-based attacks. If they glanced at the clock repeatedly, they were time-pressured and would make rushed decisions. Observation of observation equals strategic dominance. In modern AI warfare, this has gone exponential. Machine learning algorithms don't just track user behavior, they track what users pay attention to. Facebook's algorithm doesn't care what you click. It cares how long you hesitate before clicking. That micro pause reveals unconscious desire better than any action. Military drones in Afghanistan didn't just watch Taliban fighters. They watched who the Taliban watched. If a compound was under constant observation by militants, that revealed it as a high-value target. Pattern of attention mapping became more valuable than direct surveillance. You're starting to see it, right? Surveillance is a two-way mirror, and whoever masters reading both sides wins. But the next layer is where most people's minds break. What if your phone knows you better than you know yourself? Let's cut through the noise. Your devices are observing you right now, not theoretically, actually, and the data they collect predicts your future behavior with scary accuracy. This isn't dystopia, it's documented science. Cambridge Analytica proved algorithms can predict your decisions before you consciously make them. Your Netflix queue reveals your emotional state. Your Spotify choices map your energy levels throughout the day. Your Google searches expose fears you'd never admit out loud. Amazon's algorithm knows you're pregnant before you tell your family. This actually happened. Target sent baby product coupons to a teen girl, and her father found out she was pregnant from the ads. But here's what most people miss. This surveillance isn't inherently bad. It's a mirror, a brutally honest mirror that shows patterns you're blind to. Elite performers use this. They track their own data obsessively. Screen time, heart rate variability, sleep cycles, decision-making patterns during stress. NBA teams use biometric surveillance on players 24/7. They monitor glucose levels, muscle tension, even vocal tone during games. This data predicts injuries before they happen. It optimizes performance in real time. Players who embrace being monitored extend their careers by years. Elon Musk's companies track employee productivity metrics constantly, not to punish, but to optimize. Tesla's factory floor uses AI surveillance to identify bottlenecks in manufacturing. When workers know they're being watched, they unconsciously adjust to smoother workflows. It's not Big Brother, it's behavioral feedback at scale. Psychologists call this the Hawthorne effect. When people know they're being observed, performance increases even without intervention. Just knowing someone's watching makes you try harder. And if that someone is an algorithm designed to help you improve, that's a superpower. Special forces use something similar called our culture after action reviews. Every mission is recorded and analyzed. Operators watch themselves under stress and learn from micro mistakes. The surveillance becomes the training. But here's the question nobody asks. If you're already being watched, why not control what they see? That's where everything inverts. Drop a comment. Aware. Have you ever caught yourself acting different because you knew someone was watching? Tell me your story. If this is rewiring how you think, smash that like button and subscribe. The final piece is coming. How top performers engineer their own surveillance systems. Here's the game changer. If you're always being watched anyway, you might as well design what they see. This is how legends are built. They don't hide from observation, they choreograph it. Arnold Schwarzenegger understood this at 20 years old. He trained in gyms with mirrors everywhere, knowing other bodybuilders watched him. He turned surveillance into motivation. Every set was a performance. Every rep was a statement. He didn't just build muscle, he built a mythology that people couldn't stop watching. David Goggins takes it further. He live streams workouts, shares his daily suffering, broadcasts his pain. Why? Because public surveillance creates unbreakable accountability. When millions watch, quitting isn't an option. The audience becomes a cage that forces greatness. Corporate leaders like Satya Nadella, Microsoft CEO, practice strategic visibility. They carefully control when and how they're observed. Earnings calls, keynotes, interviews, all calculated moments of surveillance that shape public narrative. They don't avoid being watched, they schedule it. MMA fighters study their own fight footage obsessively. They become their own harshest observers. George's Street Pierre spent hours analyzing micro-movements, facial tics, breathing patterns. He surveilled himself more brutally than any opponent ever could. That's how he stayed champion for years. Here's your application. Create your own surveillance system. Today, record yourself during important tasks. Film your workouts. Voice memo your thought processes. During decisions, review them like you're studying an opponent. You'll spot patterns invisible in the moment. The ancient Spartans had a practice called agoge, constant observation of young warriors by elders. It wasn't punishment. It was accelerated development through perpetual feedback. Modern elite training programs copy this. SEALs, astronauts, surgeons all trained under relentless observation. Final truth: humans have always been watched. Tribes survived because members monitored members. Religions created the concept of an all-seeing God to install internal surveillance. This isn't new. Technology just made the invisible visible. The surveillance rule isn't about fear. It's about strategic awareness. You're being watched right now. The only question is, are you performing like it? Comment. Architect which part of your life transforms if you act like you're always being filmed by your future self. Hit that like, subscribe to this channel, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. High performance starts when you stop hiding and start architecting what people see. This content is for educational and informational purposes only. The strategies presented are based on historical analysis, behavioral studies, and high-performance principles. Always respect privacy and applicable laws in your jurisdiction. Misuse of surveillance techniques may have legal consequences.